Salute BookTube, welcome to my channel. Thank you for being here. We're very much into February, and I still haven't discussed my February TBR, what I plan to read this month. Some of which I've started, but which I still wanted to share with you, um, just to keep you abreast of my reading, my reading, just my reading in general. So, a couple of videos ago, you probably, or you probably didn't, but, and I don't blame you, but I posted my reading wrap up for January. And February is very much a continuation of that. The plans I made early in the year, New Year, reading resolutions, reading plans, I'm trying to stick to. And so a lot of the subject matter from January is kind of repeated in uh, February. So with that, I wanted to get to the books. The first thing I discussed, if you saw my, or if you've been following my channel for a long time, is Historathon 2026. Historathon is a year-long reading event where you're encouraged to read nonfiction history throughout the year. And the year is divided into quarters, and each quarter is a historical period which you're supposed to read. So quarter one, which is January, February, March, is uh, the beginning of time, the beginning of recorded history, up until 500 AD. You have to read histories within that period. Um, so for Historathon this year, I decided to focus. Basically, quarter one is about the ancients, and for Historathon 2026, I decided to stick to um, the Phoenicians and to Carthage. And so the first, or the book I hope to read on this subject in February is Richard Miles's Carthage Must Be Destroyed. The subtitle, I don't know if it shows, is The Rise and Fall of an Ancient Civilization. This is very much the story of Carthage, Rome's great enemy, especially early Rome, as both great empires collided for control of the Mediterranean. Um, and this is just that story. Of course, the Punic Wars, Hannibal, I think they're all going to make Scipio Africanus, they're all going to make an appearance in this book. I read a book about Carthage, almost about the same subject last month, but that book was from the 1960s. This one I think is much more modern, perhaps refreshingly so, maybe not, who knows. This is from 2010, yeah, so much more recent. Still also getting a bit old now, but um, it comes well blurbed. This author, I think, is the author of Ancient Worlds, so somebody who knows, who has written about ancient worlds before. Again, I'm sorry for the lack of focus on the glare, but yeah. So this is the first book. I'll be excited to read more about Carthage and the Punic Wars. And then speaking of Carthage and the Punic, I'm continuing. I'm just doing 3 months of reading about Phoenicia, Carthage, and the Punic Wars. So the other book is this book. It's Carthage, the Punic City. The author is Muhammad Hassan Fantar. And I think this book, is published in Tunisia. And as you can see on the cover, this is an imagination of what Carthage must have looked like. The famous harbor, because Carthage was a great port city, a great maritime power. And so this book is exactly that. It's a bigger book. It's a combination of photos and of prose and of text. So it's not a big thing. So I added it to my February reading plan. It's in my Carthage library. I don't need this many books about Carthage. So I'm trying to read as much of it as I can, keep the ones that I like, and get rid of the ones that I don't need to keep, because space, despite this big shelf, is a premium. So this is the second book I'm reading, again, because it's published in Tunisia, this book, but it's in English. And of course, Carthage is in the modern country of Tunisia, just across the straits from Sicily. So looking forward to reading this one. The next reading plan I have was focused on reading Russian literature in 2026. I had mentioned it out loud that I wanted to try it. I've got one of my biggest supporters on this channel is actually a Russian. She's originally Russian, although she lives outside Russia now. But when she heard me say I'm exploring Russian literature, or I'm thinking about exploring Russian literature in 2026, I just said it out loud, not thinking much of it. She grasped, because I've never read Russian literature, just for background. She grabbed onto me and said, yes, do it. She actually sent me a book, which I read in January. You can hear my thoughts on it in my January reading wrap-up. But I've started with one. I want to continue, and I've been getting ideas and just watching BookTube and listening to comments or reading comments and asking people. And I think I've settled for this for February to continue my Russian reading lit journey. This is Mikhail Bulgakov, The Master and Margarita. I think I'm going to be doing this for February. I don't think there's no more time to think about it. I got to get started because I still haven't started this. But yeah, I know very little about this. All I know is that it's quite modern. So again, I have a bit of OCD. I always, when I start a reading project, I like to go a bit in chronological order, start with the earliest, but I'm skipping all the 18th century stuff, all the 19th century stuff, a lot of the early 20th century stuff, and going to this, which I think was published in the 1930s, if I'm not mistaken. It says first published in serial form in 1966. Okay, it's about the 1930s. I believe it's about the 1930s, published in the 1960s. Again, this shows you I know nothing about this. I know nothing. I'm going in fresh like a baby's. Just I'm going there with very little background. Although again, this book comes recommended by booktubers that I respect. So yeah, I'm gonna be reading this for February as I continue my Russian literature adventure. But then, speaking of Russian literature, I once I had mentioned that because I had mentioned earlier that I'm leaning towards reading this in February, The Master and Margarita. I got a bit of warning, some pushback from other commenters who were saying, no, maybe this is not the best place to start. You should try something else, maybe something a little shorter, a little less. I don't know, because I don't know I know very little about this, but I was warned that it could taint your judgment on Russian literature. So one of my commenters, Doug, he knows who he is. He had mentioned you should read this instead, Leo Tolstoy's The Death of Ivan Ilyich. Again, sorry for the glare. Again, I don't have a hard copy of this, but this is a very short novella. And Doug had mentioned, he's a commenter on a lot of my videos. He had mentioned that you should start with a short Leo Tolstoy to dip your finger into Leo Tolstoy's world. Start small, because this book is representative of, this very short book is representative of his much larger works. So I thought about it. I looked online at a free copy online, and it's very short. It can be read quickly. At least I hope the one I saw online looked very short. I hope that's the completed one. So time permitting, but I'm hoping to read this one in February as well. Just because it's short and it's Tolstoy, and yeah, why not? Again, time permitting, but because it's short, hopefully I can fit it in among these other books. And then finally, again, hopefully this won't be a long video. Actually, yeah, I hope it's not a long video. This isn't finally. There's one more thing, although I think I forgot it, but I'll pick it up in a while, in a second. The third event that I committed to do was to read books about America and America's 250th anniversary. The 250th birthday of America will be on July 4th, 2026. And so I had decided, because I have so many books about American history and I need to make space, I don't need to keep them all. I especially want to get rid of the books that I don't need to keep. So what I want to do is read them and then get rid of them. The only problem with American history is that American history really doesn't start until 1500 onwards. Of course, with the notable exception of the native indigenous peoples, but the European contact with the New World doesn't really happen after Christopher Columbus in 1492, rounded up to 1500, which means this is well into Q3 of Historathon, which I hope to combine American history with Historathon. But that doesn't start till Q3, so that leaves the whole first half of the year. And what I decided to do for the first half of 2026 is to read books about American politics, American society, just journalistic works on American culture and society, that kind of stuff. So I've got 3 books here, shorter books, which I hope I can complete in February, because February is a short month, and it's usually a busy month, at least for me. But I'm hoping to do it. And then these 3 books, we can say one is skews to the left, one to the right, and then one is in the center. If we start with the left, I think this author is left-wing. He's definitely not neoconservative. This is The Price of Civilization by Jeffrey D. Sachs. I have this in my library. It's been there. I want to read it and get rid of it, so this is the best time to do it. Jeffrey Sachs has been a bit controversial. He's been big on YouTube, at least for me. I see him on YouTube a lot. I don't know if he's big on other social media, but he's very against American foreign policy these days. His big fear being that we forget when America and China, or Russia and America, or even to an extent Israel or Iran, North Korea, India, Pakistan, these are all nuclear states. France, the UK, they're all nuclear states. And if we keep rattle sabering, who knows? Who knows? And I think that's Jeffrey Sachs's argument, that don't forget the nuclear weapons. If there is a crazy man or crazy woman, crazy person in one of those countries who decides to press that button, we're in big trouble. But so the subtitle here is Reawakening America's Virtue and Prosperity. So he's an economist, but he's also geopolitical, and I think the American virtue has to do with that, not jumping into war, not getting involved. Again, I think more of a liberal left-wing view of the world. Jeffrey Sachs is, if I understand correctly, a proponent of multilateralism, things like the United Nations and the whole post-World War II order, maintained but also probably expanded. Very opposite to the America First sort of movement, which is represented by the second author, who's a neocon. I think this is a neocon author. This is called The Fractured Republic. It's Yuval Levine. Renewing America's Social Contract in the Age of Individualism. I don't know what that means, that subtitle. It says Americans today are anxious about the economy, about politics, about our government. The institutions that once dominated our culture have become smaller, more diverse, and personalized. Individualism has come at the cost of dwindling solidarity. No wonder then that voters and politicians alike are nostalgic for a time of social cohesion and economic success. This claims to be, I can continue reading, but again, even that doesn't really give much. This book, when it says America Today or Americans Today, this book is old. I've had this for a while, and I want to get rid of it. I want to read it and get rid of it. It's from 2016. Here it says Yuval Levin details his innovative answers to the dysfunctions of our fragmented national life. Our fragmented being America. Again, I'm based in the Middle East, so this is all I'm looking at this from an outsider view, but by embracing subsidiarity and diversity and rejecting extremism and nostalgia, he believes we can revive the middle layers of society and enable an American revival. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Again, right wing, but what was that word? Rejecting extremism and nostalgia. I think that's a reference to Trump, because a lot of these authors, a lot of these neocon writers who came to prominence during the Bush era, when the Trump phenomenon happened, they were in between a hard and a rock place. They were anti-Trump. They were establishment Republicans, anti-Trump, but anti-left as well, and they were left with nowhere to turn. I think that's changed with the second Trump. They've all come back and kissed the hand and bowed down to the leader. But in his first administration, Trump's first administration, there was very much, because Yuval Levin is a Weekly Standard, National Review editor. That crowd was not very enamored with the idea of a Trump presidency, at least the first Trump presidency, the first administration. So there was some there that was some interesting. It'll be interesting to read, basically. And then this one, if that one was right wing and one was left wing, this is very much central. Again, older book. It's by Susan Jacoby, and it's called The Age of American Unreason. Not the most exciting cover, but hopefully the content will be interesting. Again, this is an older book. Has it in my library for a while. 2008, copyright 2008. Older. Want to get rid of it. Don't need to keep it in my library. But again, just reading from the back, it says a cultural history of the last 40 years. The Age of American Unreason focuses on the convergence of social forces, usually treated as separate entities, that has created a perfect storm of anti-rationalism. These include the upsurge of religious fundamentalism, with more political power today than ever before, the failure of public education to create an informed citizenry, and the triumph of video over print culture. Us here on BookTube, we're guilty of, we still enjoy print culture, but we're also aficionados of the videos. Sparing neither the right nor the left, Jacoby asserts that Americans today have embraced a universe of junk thought that makes almost no effort to separate fact from opinion. I don't know what to say. This book is updated post-election edition. Trying to make this exciting, but again, it's in my library. It doesn't have to be. I want to read it, and then I don't think I have to keep this. I can read it, absorb it. We'll see if it's really good. I'll keep it. But the updated post-election edition. This must be the updated for the new Obama at the time, the new Obama presidency. So again, these are quite dated, and therefore I want to read them because just keeping them in my library, again, space issues. But then there's one more book. I'm gonna go really quickly to grab it, because my friend Angelina will kill me if I don't. I'm reading this in February. We're buddy reading this, Angelina and I. Her channel is called Books Do Things to Me. If I remember, I'll link it below in the show description. This is Seamus Haney's translation of Beowulf. Again, not the most interesting cover, but yeah, I think Beowulf is well known to readers. Epic, early Anglo-Saxon, early English, Old English, it's called Old English, the language that was used, Anglo-Saxon poem about a dying world, the world of Anglo-Saxon, Germanic kind of tribal system that was slowly dying out and changing into a more Christian Europe. Not a very big thing, but we're buddy reading this. I look forward to reading it. I read this in high school. I think I was assigned to this my first year of university. I never really got much out of it in those early years. My naive early years of reading, but hopefully now as a mature adult reading this, maybe I'll get something out of it. I look forward to Buddy reading it with Angelina. Again, I'll link her channel below. Um, yeah. I don't know. We a long time ago decided we'd Buddy read this. Like we made the decision in like August of 2025 that we'd read this in February of 2026, and I don't know how this came about. I've forgotten, but we agreed to it. Angelina reminded me, and we started. And again, not long, so hopefully I can finish it quickly because it's a, as you can see, it's a big month of reading. Lots of books, because in addition to all of that, we're doing this slow read of Battle Cry of Freedom, Jane McPherson's history of the American Civil War era. I'm reading this with Jeff at Jeff Reads History. He has a slow burn through history book club. So we're reading this very slowly. Even with the slow read, I'm a bit behind, but I hope to catch up in the next couple of days. I was busy at the end of January, but hopefully I can catch up. I'm also slow reading this, The Atlas of Indian Nations. Again, it's by Anton Truer, part of my American history reading for the 250th anniversary. But yeah, I promise this video will be short. It's actually going on and on. I'll wrap this up. I thank you for watching this. Let me know what you're reading in February. I hope you have a happy month of reading ahead. Thank you, BookTube, and salute.